Usually these elections where you have an open seat election are pretty close, so I'd expect a competitive election in 2016. But you know, when the Republicans won big in Congress in 2010, that's basically what we said would occur. So it is odd to me that people associate it with being, oh, it's this liberal site. And you know, personally, my politics lean left of center on social issues, more in the center on economic issues. But you know, but look, I want to get the forecast right. That's where my incentives are, right? Is to be as accurate as I can be. And the fact that people think that anytime you say something other than, oh, it's a toss-up, or oh, it's 50-50, or oh, both sides are right, they think you're being partisan. Whereas I think it's kind of delusional not to seek out any truth in in the evidence, right? I think that's a job of reporting and journalism, is to find where the truth lies, and there are a million different routes to do that. But I think the conventions of political reporting are so strange that that kind of I stick out more there, not because I'm doing anything extraordinary, but because the baseline, the competition is frankly pretty bad. Well, look, I think if we have a forecast and Republicans don't like it or Democrats don't like it, that kind of goes with the territory, right? You're never going to win those fights. But if you're engaged by pundits, right? You know, and usually I think that if you're a pundit and you're trying to make some statement about how the horse race looks and how the campaign looks, right? And then you're criticizing me, then you better be careful, because they have a really terrible track record, right? Including many pundits on on Tuesday who predicted not just a Romney win, but a potential Romney landslide, right? And so usually those predictions aren't very well versed in the data. And this is not just a one-off example. In my book and other books, people have looked at how these predictions do over the long term, and they have no real skill at all. And to me, what it means is that if you constantly get things wrong when you're predicting things, right, that means you're out of touch with reality, and there's no more polite way to put it. So if you're a pundit who thought that that Romney was going to sweep to a landslide and win Pennsylvania and Minnesota, right? Well, you have a chance. You can get that right. If that turned out to be right on Tuesday, then I'd have to shut up. But I think those people are delusional, and if there's no polite way to put it, and so of course they aren't going to like me saying that. But the evidence is pretty crystal clear. Some things I think defy all laws of statistics and probability. Yeah, but look, it usually takes a good 3 or 4 years to turn a team around, right? So you think maybe if things go to plan, then in 3 or 4 years it might be competitive. Of course, being competitive doesn't mean that you win, right? But who knows? I mean, if you're being rational about it, then the probability is that at some point in my lifetime, I'm 34, the Cubs will win a World Series. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd be willing to place a bet on it. It was not a well-run franchise for long periods of time, right? And you know, one of the theories is that because people would come and turn out and see the Cubs, rain or shine, and whether they were good or bad, right? Then they didn't have any incentive to get better. So in some ways, it's good now that that you know, people in Chicago have turned against the Cubs a little bit, and they can't guarantee a sellout no matter what anymore. It's probably what they need to kind of make sure that they actually have to put a good competitive product on the field. I had proposed this bet with with Joe Scarborough. I come from the world where you know, being willing to bet on things means that you believe in something, that you're not BSing, right? But that's not kind of the ethics of, I guess, how that's not typical in journalism circles, I suppose, right? But to me, that means that, look, when you have a financial stake in something, right, it creates better incentives most of the time. I think people who are betting their money are usually more to be trusted than people who are just betting on the reputation, because reputation is very easy to manipulate, right? But if you are betting your money according to hard and fast rules, then it keeps you real. It's a reality check, I think. I have another book to write. Yeah, I have you know, 538 will continue in some form. But I don't know. I've been getting a lot of interest from a lot of different circles, and I just have to really kind of relax for a bit first, and then start to sort through things. I mean, I'm not looking to make any snap decisions exactly, but kind of maybe taking through the end of this year to kind of think about things and relax and take some meetings, and just kind of setting myself up kind of mentally and physically, because you get tired, right, for the next 4 years. And the big question is, do I want to write about this recent experience of mine in some way or go in a different direction, right? And I don't know. I think I'll have to. I mean, that's something I will have to decide on fairly soon. But with the book, it's like, I mean, the book is a major commitment. The book, it took me 4 years to write the first book, and I was doing other things at the same time, so it wasn't 4 years only on the book, right? But you live with that thing for for a long time, right? So out of all the decisions I have to make, professionally at least, then that's the most important, is what's the theme of the second book going to be.